Hello again, Struckweb. Today I'm bringing you a build video for Bragi Axe Biter, the Slayer in Warhammer Chaosbane, which is using mostly passives from the new God Skill tree, the one that came out a couple of updates ago. So if you don't own the God Skills content, the God Skills DLC, or if you don't own the Seasons Pass which has that DLC included in it, then this build would not be for you. I will be making one for people who only have the basic God Skills later, so let me know in the comments if you want to see such a build sooner rather than later, and I will try and prioritize it. So this build can do Chaos 7 as you saw on the screen, and when min-maxed I'm assuming it can even do Chaos 8. Mind you, my gear was far from perfect, but when it is perfected I would try Chaos 8. The build is stacking a lot of crit damage based on our counterattack damage. I can get my crit damage close to 2,500, but I decided to get more flat damage and less crit damage, like a balance act there, to have higher damage on the crits. Otherwise the crits weren't as strong. So I think this is the better way, and you would see me explaining why in the gears and skill section. So without further ado, I'm gonna show you the gear. You can skip the gear section because it's quite long. I ended up talking about a lot of stuff, and you can move on straight to the skills and passives if you wanna see those. And quick thing to say before I move on to the gear: the build works with any set. You just need to do a minor adjustment here and there, but it works with any set. So without further ado, here's the gear. For the gear, this will be slightly longer, so feel free to skip forward if you don't want to hear it, but basically for all the armor pieces, it doesn't have to be the Undefeated set, it could be any set. Mind you, if you decide to use another set, the last bastion would not be heroic, it would be mastered. And then you can probably get either a heroic call to oath, which would require you to maybe downgrade this one, or you would get a heroic strike of the anvil, which would also, I would suggest downgrading this one to get enough skill points. Or you can get deep gashes, which is this skill, as a heroic, which again I would suggest downgrading this one to get enough skill points for it. But regardless of what set you pick, it would work with the same god skills and skills I've picked. Then now let's quickly try and tell you for all the armor pieces what to get. For all the armor pieces, key things would be armor, health and counterattack. On the helmet only you can get cooldown reduction. So try and get it, it's really necessary for the build because from the god skills we haven't taken that much. So we do need it from the helmet and from the accessories and access. Mind you, my setup was not min-maxed, it was far from it, but it was what it was. I still could do Chaos 7, maybe Chaos 8 when I finalize and min-maxed the build. Now, for the chest piece, again, armor, HP, I was missing HP, but try and get HP and counterattack damage. Of course, on all armor pieces, energy is good to have, but try to prioritize armor, HP and counterattack damage. Those are the main things for the build. Energy helps, cost reduction not so much, but it's good, okay, it's better. Health regeneration, you really don't need that, feel free to sacrifice it. Resistance to damage over time is good when doing invasion, and when fighting against Sinch, but it's not something to prioritize in my opinion, depending on what you prefer and how you prefer to play it. So this applies to the loincloth, this applies to the boots, but with the boots you can even get speed bonus. So again, armor, HP, counterattack damage, maybe some energy and speed bonus sacrifice wood quality. Wood quality is only good for when speedrunning Chaos 4, Chaos 5 on builds that are stacking crit chance and are using this pendant for extra wood quality based on crit chance. But when you're pushing harder content, uh, it's better to avoid using that setup and just ignore the wood quality if you can, sacrifice it if you can. In the gauntlets, in the hands, you can get damage or damage over time. In this setup, I would suggest prioritizing damage. So you want damage, not damage over time or not crit damage. So damage is better. Damage over time is not so bad, but you really don't need it that much with this setup. And crit damage avoid, because you can get crit damage by getting more counterattack damage via blessings. So armor, HP, counterattack damage, key things. You can sacrifice a bit of HP maybe to get damage if you have to make a choice between the two. Damage should be high on the priority list. Even maybe sacrificing counterattack damage 500-600 would be okay if you can get 5, 4, etc. 1000 damage. So energy is also a bonus, so this is actually a pretty good road one. Pretty good road one, the one I had. Then that brings us now to the accessories. On the accessories, what you want is crit chance, cooldown reduction, probably if you can get some flat damage, and counter-attack damage. Those should be crucial. If you can't get counter-attack damage, don't beat yourself over it. You have plenty of it already from the blessings. So yeah, crit chance and cooldown reduction are a must-have, and flat damage is always a very good thing to get on the accessories. It applies to all three of them. I decided to go for Mountain Pendant because I really suffer from lack of cooldown reduction at the moment, because this is missing cooldown, this is missing cooldown, this is missing cooldown, and yeah, three things of mine are missing cooldown reduction, so that's roughly losing around 20 something cooldown reduction, close to 30. Both axes should also have cooldown reduction, and as I said, the helmet. Both axes should also have crit chance, and for me one of them was missing it, so my crit chance was also suffering, so far from being min-maxed here. And here I have flat damage, here I have flat damage, here I don't. So yeah, look out for the stats I set. And for the bases, Fiery Ring of Tori is another base that gives me cooldown reduction, so this together with the Mountain Pendant is a great combo. And Ring of Resonance is perfect to get those stuns, so you can use the secondary damage on Cold Superior, and it also helps you with crowd controlling the enemies. Before you get Ring of Resonance, you can probably use something for survivability like this one, or maybe something like Gromril Ring for survivability, or maybe Insulation Ring to keep getting that energy and health restored. The Granite Ring is not bad as well, but it reduces the damage, but at least it gives you some HP, so not a bad thing. And if you want even more damage, Siege Breaker is always a good choice. But yeah, try to get the Ring of Resonance from the invasion. You get it over here at the bottom of the invasion. So you have to get this corruption resistance, this corruption resistance, this corruption resistance. So once you have those 4 corruption resistances, you can maybe get some other debuffs for the enemies, but try to get this. So all those things are debuffs for the enemies. For the accessories, if you have enough cooldown reduction and you want to switch Mountain Pendant or Fiery Ring of Tori or both of them, then here are some suggestions. For the pendant, avoid things like the Vortex Amulet with God Skills deal extra damage. Avoid Sacrificial Pendant unless you're playing in a party and want to support your teammates by taking more damage for yourself, but they take less damage. avoid endless water because your god skill is not gonna do damage, it's just the one that gives you invulnerability. I think this is glitch because see, it's showing me some pendants doing the same effects as others, so I'm not sure why this is happening. So this is showing me the mountain pendant bonus, so this one, avoid it because it's only gonna heal you when you're using Ancestor's Gift. If you really want that extra health restored when using Ancestor's Gift, go ahead, use it if you have a good rolled one. But my best suggestion would be to use the one that reduces the cooldown of the potion. So this is healing minus 30% for the potion, but the cooldown is minus 30%. And since I've decided to give you a potion that gives extra counterattack damage plus 50%, which mind you guys, you can only get this potion if you complete the story mode of the Tomb King's DLC. You get it pretty early on in the story, you don't have to complete all of it, just the first few quests, but then it kind of ends up shaping up the build. Then when it comes to the rings, good choices would be for damage, Siegebreaker for HP and healing, Ancestor's Ring, Granite Ring or Gromril Ring also gives you some damage reduction. This one even gives you some HP, so not bad choices. If you don't have the Ring of Resonance until you get it, definitely good stuff. And Insulation can heal you and give you energy, so also another thing worth mentioning. For the axe bases, I strongly suggest Forge Heart and Ultimate Carnage. Forge Heart is a great synergy because you can set the enemies on fire with Avenging Charge. Or if you decide to downgrade Axe Throw Superior, you can get Cold Oath Mastered, but I strongly advise using Cold Oath Superior and Avenging Charge Superior to burn the enemies. Ultimate Carnage is the axe that gives you extra base damage, not crit damage. I strongly suggest instead of using axes like Bruised Ego or like Insatiable, I strongly suggest going for axe like the Ultimate Carnage as the secondary one because it gives you flat damage, not crit damage. You have more than enough crit damage from counterattack in the Blessing, so that should be fine. If you need extra cooldown reduction, that's not bad. If you need some extra flat damage, Victor's Tribute is not bad, but it's not gonna work well against bosses because that's only 30-second duration. So unless you can kill an elite right before the boss and melt the boss in 30 seconds, that's not gonna work. And this is 200%. This is just amazing. And this gives you almost, yeah, it gives you twice the damage as Cold Oath Superior, and if you're using Cold Oath Heroic, if you decide to be using a different set, this would give you half the damage of Cold Oath Heroic secondary damage. So this probably sums it up. Key access to mention, I already told you what to use. I mean, if you can get those, that's fine, but try to get crit chance, cooldown reduction, flat damage and counterattack damage on those. Those are crucial, especially cooldown reduction and crit chance you can't get from other places that much because yeah, it's only those accessories, and we do need it because if you want to be critting often, you need that crit chance. I hope this is clear enough, and next you would see the god skills. And sorry for this section being that long, but I guess there was a lot to talk about. The skill point evocation is pretty interesting here. There's not much flexibility in regards to the way I suggest playing this. Currently, it depends how much crit chance you can get from your gear. I only have 38.6 right now because I did not think it's worth it to go for crit chance blessing. So I'm using that 5%. It cost me 0 points, so it's good. I'm using this one because it gives me extra 50% counterattack damage when using my potion for 4 seconds. Perfect synergy for this build. This one, needless to say, it's the main ingredient of this build. Gives us crit hit damage based on our counterattack damage. This one, Eternal Grudge Superior. Rage lasts longer and is more effective. Why superior? Well, I don't think it's worth investing into the mastered. I don't think it's worth investing into the master, but if any of you likes playing it, you can try and sacrifice some points maybe from other places. I would not suggest this one if you're using a forge heart. If you're not using a forge heart, you can try and maybe downgrade this and upgrade this. Dead Bow Master, this is crucial for synergy with the build. Stunned enemies take more damage, stunning an enemy also inflicts bleeding. It's also good synergy for when using Forge Heart together with this to burn them. Another thing you could do is, if you don't want to be using this secondary damage, which is actually pretty nice synergy for stun setup, you can use the fire version, the mastered version, and get the fire damage from there for the Forge Heart, but I'd still suggest using this and getting the fire damage from this thing here. Then, Deep Gashes Mastered. Bleeding deals more damage, each attack has a chance to stun bleeding enemies. The perfect synergy, and we also stun with the Ring of Resonance, but if you don't have it, this would be some of the sources for you to stun until you get the Ring of Resonance. So, was Bastion heroic? Needless to say, it costs us 0 points, it's a great skill, 50% extra HP for a few seconds, cooldown 8 seconds, extra damage, extra energy gain. Perfect. This invulnerability for 4 seconds, pretty nice. Strike of the Anvil, the one with extra cooldown time reduction, which is the master version. It's perfect for the build, and here I like to use Axe Throw Superior because it can inflict bleeding, but you can choose anything you want. You can choose something that costs 0 points and then maybe upgrade this one if you want, or you can choose any of the other one that costs 4 points. Keep in mind, at the moment, the way I've set up the set and the skills, I've got 2 points left, so downgrading this would give you 6 points, and you can probably upgrade maybe this one, or my suggestion would be upgrading this one if you downgrade that one, to see if you like that immunity. I hope everything here is clear. I have experimented with other things like using more HP or using the passive that gives us counterattack damage based on our HP, but it's definitely not worth it. You can get counterattack damage and plenty of it from gear blessings. And quickly, when it comes to the legendary rank, the way I played it was like this. You can probably try and go for this one if you need some more cooldown reduction, or maybe go for this one if you not cooldown reduction, I mean damage reduction, or even this one for damage reduction, or even you can try and go with healing, because whatever you prefer, but this is what was used when recording the video. So hope this is clear, and now let's show you the god skills. So this build is actually centered heavily around the new god skill 3 that is walked behind the DLC or season pass. So if you have the season pass, this would be unlocked for you. If you don't have it, you can either get the season pass or the DLC for the god skills separately. This is specific build that I'm showing you later on. If anyone is interested, you can let me know in the comment section. But I'm also planning on making a similar build without using counterattack damage based crit hit damage, which would be using only the basic god skill tree for people who do not own the extra God skills pack. But let's quickly show you why I've decided to take this. First, here we have a ward of critical hit damage based on counterattack damage. And then there's a ward of nodes with counterattack damage that I've taken. This one is 50, this one is 20. Then there's a ward of 16 spread around those nodes I've taken. And this is what gives us a ton of crit damage. There should be a balance, as I've said in the gear section, there should be a balance in regards to how much flat damage and crit damage you've got. I've tried and I could get this to give me over 1200 crit hit damage when I had close to 80 something thousand counterattack damage. But then my crits were not that heavy because the flat damage was not that good, so that's why flat damage really does help. Of course, cooldown reduction, we get 15 from here, but we lose 15, so on this side we get 10, and then the other 3% we invest 2 points over here for those. And since Ancestor's Gift is an amazing skill and it only costs you 5 points to unlock it, it's the perfect investment for this build, especially knowing that we are using Code to Oath Superior. And yeah, we're losing HP, so when we have Ancestor's Gift on, we use this, and then later on we can also use Wasp Bastion. So you can either use this and then Wasp Bastion, or use this and then that. But that's kind of the combo. So I hope everything is clear, and if you need build with those skills, just give me some time, I will make one when I have some spare time. I want to make builds for the other classes first. So when it comes to playing the build and what combos to do, it is pretty similar to other Strike of the Anvil builds I have uploaded before. To those of you who have not seen them, I would explain that Strike of the Anvil is the leaping skill, the one that you want a good cooldown reduction for. So the combo normally is maybe lead with Strike of the Anvil, and with Ring of Resonance this would stun the enemies. Then pop your invulnerability and quickly use the Code to Oath skill. Once you use the Code to Oath skill, it should do bonus damage to the stunned enemies. I'm not that good at doing this combo all of the time, as you obviously see me kind of messing up the rotation, but this is the correct rotation. Strike of the Anvil, then quick invulnerability, then Code to Oath, or Strike of the Anvil, Code to Oath, then quick Wasp Bastion to heal yourself. The invulnerability would prevent you from taking damage, but if the invulnerability is in cooldown, you can use Wasp Bastion to heal yourself after Code to Oath. Code to Oath takes HP, so keep that in mind. And you can try and do invulnerability Code to Oath, then after that do Code to Oath Wasp Bastion. And of course always lead in with Strike of the Anvil. Another combo you can try is when you already have low HP, quickly heal with Wasp Bastion, which is a skill with cooldown and will proc the stun from Ring of Resonance. Then immediately follow up with the superior Code to Oath, or heroic if you're using a heroic Code to Oath set with the Grimnir, and then follow up maybe with invulnerability to make sure you don't die, and keep doing other damage. In the meantime, always try to set the enemies on fire with the dashing burning skill, charging Avenger. It would proc the Forge Heart axe, and it would do some nice damage on top of the other damage you're doing. So this was kind of it. A quick Chaos 7 run, and if you've enjoyed it, feel free to subscribe to my channel and press that bell button to get notified whenever I upload build videos or other type of content for Chaosbane, Torchlight Frontiers, Wolsen, Borderlands 3 or other Wooter type of games that I normally upload stuff for. You can also let me know whether you liked the video or not by clicking the like or dislike button, and telling me in the comment section. Thanks again for watching the video, keep it cool folks, and until next time.